fellow crocheters and knitters, it's Jan with Jack and Jan. Today we want to talk about one of our favorite tools, which is a 4-size pom-pom maker that we got off of Amazon. There's a tiny one, a small one, a medium one, and a large one. Now we just think that this is one of the most helpful gadgets, and right now pom-poms are so hot. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn this into just a little tutorial, and this is for our Lakeport pom-pom baby blanket. So let's just get started. We're going to take these three away, the small, or the tiny, the small, and the medium, and we're going to use the large today because we're going to kind of go big or go home. So these are really handy. They just open like this, and if you've ever made a pom-pom, you see right away how they work. If you've never made a pom-pom, or if maybe it's been a while, maybe since elementary school, and you need a refresher, well, that's what we're here for. Now the link to this pom-pom maker that you can get is included in this video, and it's also in the pattern if you bought the pattern, the Lakeport pom-pom baby blanket pattern. So let's get started. Okay, what I like to do is, I think it's, for me, it's a personal thing, but winding it is half the battle when you're doing something like this, because you want the pom-pom to be full. Okay, so it's easiest for me to start winding it with the U up in the right side, and then you start over here. Now, to make a nice pom-pom, the idea is just to get it as evenly dispersed as possible. Of course, like anything, crocheting or knitting, when you first start out, those first couple of winds or just the first couple of stitches are always that's the starting point, and those are always the most difficult. But from here on, it's pretty basic. So you just wind it around. Just keep winding. And I just like to lay down a foundation here to get it started. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to make sure that this is even, because that's going to produce a better result. Really, you can't mess these up. If it's not perfect, it's not a big deal. That's why I'm not like going in per se. I've actually seen videos where people use these specifically with wool, and they make these sculpted animal heads. They're absolutely adorable. I don't know if I could go that far with it, but maybe one day when I've got some extra time, I'll sit down and attempt that. But for right now, I just really like making pom-poms. Like I said, they're so on trend this year, and we at Jack and Jan just love putting them on, and you're going to see more and more of them as time goes by. We're in the middle of creating a big pom-pom scarf right now, so I'm excited about that. When that design comes out, we'll be sure to get it up, and that'll be for this season. So watch and look forward to that. Follow us. Make sure you're following us on Facebook so that you're getting all of our latest patterns, our up-to-dates, so that you don't have to keep checking the website. We'll just stop by and get them. You can just stop by and you can get those latest patterns. Now see how as we're winding it, this part is it's closing in. Okay, that's what you want. And so again, just make sure that when you come, don't be shy on these ends, because the pom-pom just won't look as nice. And you want the pom-pom to look expensive, and we actually sell our baby pieces on myhandmadebaby.com, so we want to make sure that our pom-poms are nice and full, and you can see we do actually make these by hand. And we also sell our hats on the Madam Hatter. So that being said, now you know the secret to our pom-poms. Just get it in there and make it nice and full, and just keep winding it. And now you're going to start looking for gaps. See, there's a gap right there. I want to fill that in. I want that to be nice and even. And then I'm just going to keep winding it and looking for gaps or spots that just need to be a little fuller. And again, I watch the corners as you get more yarn wound on it. I won't kid you, it does become, a little trickier to just get it around the corners, and that's okay, because anything worth doing is worth doing right, as my mom always used to say, and my grandma's. So I learned from them, and they were the best. So we're almost done here with one side. It really didn't take that long, but again, we're gonna get a nice full pom-pom. So we are pretty much ready to go. Now what I like to do is when I close it, I take this up and I cut it just a little short of the top, because this is, if you look, this is where we're going to cut. So the top would be right here. So the length of this, I cut it a little bit shorter than that. It just ensures that I don't have to give it a haircut. I don't mind giving these a haircut, but one less step, right? Might as well do it right the first time, and then you won't have to do it twice. Okay, so again, we're starting here in the corner, down here, and we're just going to pull our piece, our first piece, just like this. I've seen some people, you know, tuck them in. I don't do that. I don't think it's necessary. Just as long, though, make sure that your starting piece is over the top ridge here, because otherwise it might pull through and you'll lose, you know, you'll lose it when you cut it. But other than that, and then just really wrap it right there so that it stays and you don't lose that. And then here we go again. We're starting from the beginning. We're starting over, and we're just going to wrap it. We're going to keep going. And I think most people, just like I said, probably made these when you were younger. You might have even cut them out of cardboard or something if you're older like me. And if not, then these have been around for a while. So you're probably, if you've made them before, then you probably have one of these or something similar anyway. There's lots of different kinds, and I just find that these are the nicest because they're all included and they swing out, and I'm not losing pieces because, as you can imagine, Jack and Jan, we have our studio and it's got a lot of stuff in it, and so we want to keep things as organized as we possibly can while we're designing and we're creating pieces for our finished products. And it's just nice to have the way that this is designed all in one, so that you open it so it's not really two separate pieces. Although it is when it comes apart, and you'll see that, and that's what's kind of neat about it. Okay, so we're just going to keep winding here, and like I said, you know, you should be a pro with this winding thing by now, so we're just going to keep going here. We're doing this together, so we're going to make one pom-pom, and then I'm going to show you how to attach it to the corner of our Lakeport Pom-Pom Baby Blanket. And then we're going to talk about scissors too, because when you're cutting a pom-pom, it's very important to have a sharp pair of scissors. So I guess I should have said that at the beginning of the video, but I'm telling you now, if you don't have a sharp pair of scissors, then please grab some before you start to cut, because you will regret it if those scissors are not sharp. They must be sharp, and I have a pair, and I'll show you the kind that I use here in a second. But we're getting it, we're closing it in. We're seeing here that the U part of it is almost there. It's not quite, but it's almost there. And again, we want to get in those corners nicely so that we have a nice full pom-pom. Just keep winding. Winding. And the great thing about these is that once you get them on, fastening is pretty simple. It's really just tying it onto the edge, finding your corner and getting that on. And these make such nice things, like for babies, like you can put them on diaper covers or hats, and you know, like I said, they're so on trend this year, so pom-poms are everywhere. People love them. And right here I should mention that I'm using Karen 1 pound, which is one of our favorite yarns to use at Jack and Jan. Okay, alright, so just before you cut it, just examine it and make sure that you like the way it looks. And I see like a little flat spot right there, so I'm going to reopen it and just get that. Sometimes you can see it more when it's closed, but I'm happy with that. Again, I am cutting it just below the top so that it'll be nice and neat. Now, these scissors, these are Singer scissors, and if I can find a link on Amazon, I've had these for a while, I'll put it up. If not, then just please get a pair of these short, super duper sharp scissors. And I'll put a recommendation up too if I can't find these on Amazon, but these are my favorite. I've had these for a while. They're still very sharp, and they just work perfectly. Okay, so now we're going to get to the fun part, I think, which is actually making the pom-pom. And you'll see that this is where we closed it. This is the part that we closed, see? Okay. And that's where we want to start cutting. There's a gap here. And we'll show you why that gap is here in just a minute. But what we want to do is we just want to take our very sharp pair of scissors, and we should use a short pair, and just cut. And just make sure you stay in the gap, in the space, whatever you want to call it. And when you get down to the end, you'll see every now and then. And just make sure, take your fingers and make sure that you've got all the fibers and all your yarn cut. Okay, you don't want to pull on that too much. Just open it up a little bit. Okay, now this is starting to come open, so we'll just close that again. Okay, now we're going to flip it over, and we're going to find the same spot where we added it. Don't open it though, because it'll start to come apart. You want it to stay tight. And then just go ahead and find that space, that gap, and go ahead and cut again with a sharp pair of scissors. And we're forming a pom-pom. All right, and we've got it all. See, there are no spots that we've missed. That's because we used a sharp pair of scissors, and we're still together. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to take a piece of yarn and cut it about, I don't know, 10 inches. It's fine. You're going to cut it again anyway, but 10 inches is good. Now, just eyeball the center, okay, and then put it into the top of that gap or that space and pull on it. Some people use thread. I like to use yarn because I find that it's just more stable. Some people use linen thread. And that's fine if you're making a wool one. I think that you probably would want something like that. But see, you can't even see it now because I've pulled it so tight. Okay, so now, because I eyeballed the center of it, I might just want to pull it up a little bit. I don't need to be so retentive about that, but I do like it to be even somewhat. Okay, now I'm going to tie a knot. One, pulling tight, as you can see. Two, three is a charm, so I say go for 3. Make sure that your pom-pom's not going to come apart. Because let's face it, if you're making this for a baby, you want everything to be secure. We want our babies not to get little pieces of yarn in their mouth or anything like that. Okay, so now we've got a tail here, and we've got our pom-pom tied. So what we're going to do is we're just going to open up one and then the other. So all I did was just open up the sides where we closed them originally. Okay, now I'm going to grab this white part here and this white part here. I'm going to pull it apart. There we go. Okay, let's set those aside. And then just bang your pom-pom. Check that out. That is a nice looking pom-pom. And if you might want to give it a trim. You know, I'm not going to do that with here, but unless it was really bad, but it's not. It's a pom-pom and it looks good, and I'm very pleased with it. I probably could have made it maybe a teeny tiny bit fuller, but I don't think so. I like the way it looks. It's perfect. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to take our Lakeport blanket that we've already got the 3 pom-poms on. Okay, and we're going to put our last pom-pom on the corner. Now we've got our tails. Okay, and this is where we started right here. So what I'm going to do, I actually had this one. This was my display. And so I had a pom-pom on here and I cut it off so that I could make one for you guys. All right. So there's the corner. Okay. And what you're going to do is you're just going to take and put one of your tails through that corner. Okay, then we're going to tie again. Tie. 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 Okay, 3 times. Again. Now just cut it to the length of the other pom-poms, and you've put your pom-pom on. You have a pom-pom. And if you need to trim it a little bit, that's okay. Just go ahead and give her a trim. They need a haircut from time to time just to make them perfect. And that'll make it a little more dense too. But there's your pom-pom. Okay. And if you want the pattern for the Lakeport Baby Blanket with pom-poms, you can get that on our website at jackandjan.com. Thank you so much for checking out our video on how to make a pom-pom, and we hope you have a great day. Happy crocheting!